It's finally here, Demolition Day in Moscow, Idaho, the site of 4 tragic murders of University of Idaho students. In this episode, we'll focus on the demolition time, with particular focus on 3 chart houses. The first house representing the people involved in this project, the third house showing the rental home itself, and the 12th house representing secrets and the people who could be working behind the scenes that we can't see. What can be revealed at this timestamp? And hello, and thanks for joining me tonight. I'm Val Evans, and we're looking at the timestamp and the chart that corresponds with that time for the demolition day. It's finally here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., and that's December 28th. We've got a lot to see with this chart from what I've seen so far, and I'm very interested in what you guys think as well. So we've got a lot of mixed feelings. And on the one hand, we've got folks like Ethan Chapin's mom who just wants to heal and is fine with the demolition. Do what you need to do. They need to move on. And then there's the other side that really believes that this house needs to be intact when a jury, if they choose, wants to walk through it and actually see for themselves. Like so many cases preceding it, there have been a lot of cases that were helped because a jury was able to see for themselves the site. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the background. We're going to take a look at that. And great to see everybody tonight. Let's get started. All right. Okay, so, and if you're interested in forensic astrology, you can go to Amazon and download my book, and it'll give you a different take on astrology if you're interested in true crime and how to look at crime charts. So, we're going to look at the first house tonight. We're going to look at all the houses, but we're going to put especially an emphasis on the first house. First house shows what's going on at the time of the beginning. It's really what drives the whole chart. It is the profile of what's going on. And you can see that the sun is there in Capricorn, which means there's a boss there. There's a boss that's probably very, out in the open. And in Capricorn, it can be also the government, so the courts, and they're kind of driving this effort. Now, the third house represents the rental home itself. So you can see that Neptune is right there, pretty strong in the third house. And Neptune can show anything from the city of Moscow itself, because Moscow is representative of Neptune. There's a water tower nearby. So strange how there was that water tower in that picture in the beginning of the intro that I showed you when Kaylee was talking to that law enforcement officer. You can see that tower behind her. But it can also represent ghosts and how there are ghosts lingering in that house. And so we're going to get to that in a little bit. You'll also see a couple of other points there in the third house in Aries, and I'll also talk about that. And then in the 12th house, this is the most interesting to me. I'm always, I think, most interested in the 12th because it shows us what we can't see, what the secrets are, and what's really going down that we don't know about, that the public doesn't know about. And so we're going to take a look at that. Interested to hear what you think about this whole project beginning during a very strong period of retrograde and with Mercury conjunct Mars, which isn't always the case during Mercury retrograde. And that can mean a variety of things. It can mean a lot of construction from the past. Mars is hammer swinging and nails and tools. But with Mercury retrograde, it can show that maybe they don't work like they should, especially when Mars is conjunct Mercury. Okay. And so what I want to do is let me try to make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Hey, Jen Jen. Heather's, you're in the house. Natasha, nice to see you. Moonlight Rays, great to see you. Maxine, Deception Dismantled. I totally agree with you. And Scott, 2296. Oh, we're going to be talking about ghosts tonight because I believe that there are some lingering in that house. So Angel D, yes, the house was originally only 2 levels with a garage. Oh, Deception Dismantled. That's interesting. The 10th time when I asked what secret was in the house, the Justice card comes out every time. So, hello, Sherry. Nice to see you. All right. So I just put this chart up real quick with some photos just to help you kind of look and see what I'm trying to explain. Little illustration here. So Venus is in the 11th house here. And this represents, I mean, Scorpio is the 8th house. So these are females. And obviously, they are friends, 11th house. And you've got a really nice grand trine here. Now, I shouldn't say anything is really nice about this chart, but normally you would say, "Oh, wow, that's interesting." And so, what this tells me, you could probably decode this into quite a few meanings. But we've got females in the 11th house of social media. We have the moon, which means famous females at this point, because moon means fame. And then we have Neptune, which is spirits. So the girls' spirits are in the 3rd house. So going forward, just keep that in mind. We're going to keep these points in mind as we look at the other clues. And so here I put a picture of the house itself. Why is it not the 4th house when we're talking about a home? Well, we could actually look at the 4th to see if we could get additional clues. You know, a 3rd house is usually an apartment or a rental, and the 4th house is just kind of like your home and just other details of your home. So you could say that. Now, you can also look at Venus as the girl's 1st house. And I shouldn't just say the girls of all, well, I should say the girls because it wasn't Ethan's house. So we're going to leave him out for the time being. And so what we could do is really count 1, 2, 3, not to make it any more complicated. So the 1st house could be their rental. You could still think of the 1st house as their rental. But I'm not going to confuse you too much just yet. All right. So, clue number 1, the university reps. And let me see if I can move this over. I guess that's, no, I want to, hang on one second. I'm going to try to move up my, so that you can see this a little bit better. Sorry for the wait here. Oops. Okay. I think that should do it. All right. So, Deception Dismantled says, this is so interesting about the houses in astrology. I had no idea any of this until I found this channel 2 months ago. Oh, well, that's great. Oh, we're going to teach you a whole bunch of different ways to look at a chart because it's pretty amazing what kind of information you can find about crime, even about yourself. And just take a look at your solar return chart, and you can see different people from all different types of perspectives in that chart. So, Kat Smith, as far as the demolition, you say huge, huge mistake. And hello, Kathleen. Nice to see you. So just joined. Are they still planning to demolish the house tomorrow? Well, you would think that something's going to go wrong because Mercury's in retrograde. But sometimes things still do happen. It's just that they don't go as planned. Expect the unexpected, as they say during Mercury retrograde. And Stana says, I can't believe they're allowed to tear this crime scene down. And there hasn't even been a trial yet. Really, really fishy. It stinks and is as drip, drip says sus. Yes. Um, Deception dismantled. Can you prevent bad things if you can read it? Um, that's a really good question. You can find a way uh, to sidestep it, but really, I believe that you have to experience the chart that you're given for that year. If we're talking about a solar return chart. So if you're talking about the demolition chart, there are a couple of things that there are a couple of options of what could happen. But if you're talking about destiny, I don't feel that we have too much wiggle room when it comes to that. I feel as if well, we just have to look on the bright side. And so these charts, our personal charts, often show us look, this is probably not going to go so well this year, but this is really what could come out of this. So you have to think of it like that. Angel D, I got the feeling of a lot of Ethan's energy at first. Ever since his family said they're trying to move on and they had the celebration of life on November 13th, it feels like Ethan is ready too. Yes. Destiny Rose, good evening, beautiful Val, and exceptional chatters. Hope all is doing well. Thank you so much, Destiny Rose. You're sweet. Okay, so let's move on. University reps. What is their challenge? Okay. So we've got the sun represents the government, the boss, the courts. They are a presence in here. 6 degrees is the Virgo degree. So this person is on the scene. He is the guy that's calling the shots. He might be an older guy because the sun is in Capricorn. So can often show somebody who's experienced, someone who has gray hair, or somebody who looks older. And we might be seeing certain people come out and see images of that person. Why? Because it's in the first house. That's usually where everybody can see you. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the ascendant. The ascendant is the beginning of the first house right here. And one of the things that we do is we look and see where Jupiter is, and Jupiter rules this chart. So, what does Jupiter and Sagittarius represent? Well, that's the university, and it at 27 degrees, that represents Gemini. 27 is the Gemini degree. And if you have any interest in the degrees, you can go to my website, forensicastrologer.com, and there's a degree key in there and you can check it out. And so this is kind of like the twin students. This is the chart for the twin students. Now we know that they're not twins, but they look alike, and that's good enough in astrology. And also, of course, Ethan was a triplet, which would constitute as a twin since he was the carbon copy of his brother. Now, so this is the twin chart. Now we've got some hidden enemies, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But what's really interesting is how the chart is very weak because of that retrograde. Now, we are, for those of us who are ruled by Jupiter, the Jupiter is going to go direct in a few days, thank God, and help out. You know, it's just right now things are a little stuck when it comes to the luck category. Jupiter can mean teachers, students, and can show that the university is not at its peak because Sagittarius represents the university. So this could be the university, it could be university money because of Taurus, university money in the fourth house. So this is the end of the matter, the fourth house in forensic astrology. So it's kind of like this is how the few days are going to end, because I believe it's going to take a few days. But it looks, because of this Uranus right here, that to me, oops, I think I need to change my screen. It's a good thing I checked. Geez. Okay. All right, so let me go back real quick. Um, okay, so we've got Jupiter here in the fourth house of the end of the matter. Jupiter in Taurus can be, university money that's not up to speed, up to par. And the very end of the matter, you can see is Uranus, which means something is going to be a surprise. There is going to be a surprise or a shock when this is all done with. And so I hope that everybody's going to be okay and there's no injuries or anything like that. Now, uh, government alliance, clue number 2. Well, you can see the government here and how there's a trine with Jupiter. So the local court is trying to help, it seems, either students or possibly the university itself. And interesting that in Sagittarius we have the planet for twins, which is Mercury. And so it's almost like twin universities. So we're not just talking about one university who's suffering here, we're talking about two. And we've talked about the twin universities in a sense, which is the University of Washington and also University of Idaho. So now, so yeah, you can see a lot from the ascendant and how there is this trine. So everybody's in alignment. That's what a trine means. And then there is a sextile to Saturn, which is in the second house. So I'm looking at this like it's a nice flow here. Second house is money. So there's, you know, funds, government funds. Saturn is the government because it is ruled by, or Saturn rules Capricorn, which is traditionally the government. So we've got government money, we've got government representatives, we've got a boss, we've got a boss that's maybe working with a representative from the university or something like that. So as far as a clue, that one is more like giving us a picture potentially of what's going on. But we do see Pluto here. And here's really the clue that comes from this. And that is we've got a square to Jupiter. Pluto means transform, transformation. So this university here, which doesn't have as much funds as it wants, it's trying to transform this property. First house would be this property. And there's a problem. So you could say it's the university itself is having a problem transforming it, or you could say that something is trying to block the transformation, which potentially could be maybe not enough money, could be students that don't want it, but there's definitely something that's trying to block that transformation. Yeah, we're going to get to ghosts in a minute. Yes, Jody, exactly. Structure too. So Heather Fitzgerald, old money. Hi, Toy. Nice to see you. I know it's going to be really interesting because we're going to be seeing what happens when the time is not particularly auspicious. And so interesting that you say that, Heather. We're going to get to that in a bit. It better not be the weapon was found in that rubble. I don't think so, but we're going to look at the chart. All right. So number 3, ghosts of kings. So I talked a little bit about it. And here's Neptune. It's in the 3rd house. And we've got, I really think that this is the ghosts of the victims. And the public is here, and they are, not only does it mean the public, it means these famous women. These famous women might be invisible, but they are still lingering in that 3rd house, in this rental property. Now, what's really interesting is there is a square to the spirits. There's a square. So I'm trying to figure out what that means. We've got, I mean, this is the 12th house here. So we've got hidden people here who are trying to, they're squaring off with them somehow, or the spirits themselves are blocking this group of men. Okay, Mercury is a group, Mars is men. Mars is also contractors. Uh, in Sagittarius, meaning college, could be a college contractor. Now, another thing too, when you see men or a group and they're squaring Neptune, aside from the victims, it can often show that there are not really many boundaries when it comes to the rules going into that home. And it can also show paralysis. So we hope that everyone wears their protective gear, but it could just simply mean that there's a profile of somebody there who may may be disabled in some way, shape, or form. But I still think it's interesting too that for a long time, we always say Mars is the attacker, which we could still see in this chart. And Mercury is right next to Mars, which means two. Okay. So, you know, we wonder if the attacker had a split personality, but it's sure every time we see any chart that has to do with this crime, Mercury is always in the mix, meaning two or more. So it's kind of crazy that, it's almost like these people were blocking that Neptune. And of course, Neptune can mean drugs or photographs. So you could go back and look at how this chart can also be a reflection of the crime itself. You see all sorts of themes in these charts. So, so that's, I think, interesting coming from Neptune there, and that it's in the third house. And also we have Chiron, which means wounds, and the North Node, which means many wounds in Aries that can show blood, and it's still in that home. And so I added a few other aspects. We're going to probably try to see if we can get more information on this, but it does appear as if there's more of that evidence that's in that house that can be seen. Also, keep in mind, don't forget Black Moon Lilith. We're going to see where she comes in. It's not always a she, but it's somebody who is devious, and eighth house, somebody who is secretive right now. And so what we'll do is we'll put the aspect on to see where Black Moon Lilith comes in when it comes to this this demolition chart. And I'm thinking it's somebody who is going to do something that they're not supposed to be doing, or something kind of secretive. They might take a picture for their girlfriend while they're in there, or something like that, where they're really not supposed to. So we're going to look at the hidden enemies next, and of course that's the 12th house. Linda, I did not know that. I read the University of Idaho president lived in this home as a boy. That's crazy. And very interesting, because something we might be able to pull out in this chart. Let's see. Yeah, you could see that Jupiter would be, wow, that is crazy. So Jupiter could be the university president. I mean, it's a representative of the college. And in the fourth house would be a home retrograde of the past. So home of the past for the president. That's pretty crazy. Hello, Villainous Cupcake. Love that name. And Heather saying Moscow College distorted view wounds destined in the shared home. Pup 7, nice to see you. And okay, so Angel D, before the gag order, the speculation was the DoorDash driver was a woman with black hair, and allegedly she's a secret witness protected by the FBI. Allegedly, that's interesting. Uh, so, isn't this town related or some relation to Russia? Yes, there is some historical, um, there's a historical story behind this, and I don't think they know exactly, but there may have been some Russian immigrants that started and, who immigrated into the town. But I don't know if that is, if they've actually said that specifically. But yes, so Neptune would mean Russia, and such a big, um, it- I would say a symbol, because Neptune means Russia, and so obviously would mean Moscow. And in the third house, Neptune in the third would mean the Moscow rental. And the famous women, Venus, Moon of Moscow, or of the Moscow rental. So, yes, Angel D. Remember, you had a clue to something in the roof. Maybe they'll find something in the roof at the time of demolition. I'm glad you brought that up, because we can look at Aquarius for the roof, and we can also look at Uranus. So, in fact, let's take a look really quickly. Um, So the second house, when you're in a home and Aquarius is in part of the house, you're going to look up. So there might be something. This is a really literal way of looking at this, and sometimes that's what you do. But when you're looking up, the second house is also food. So, they might see some type of evidence. Aquarius is also evidence. So the second house could be in the kitchen too. Second and sixth is the kitchen. Second is where food was around. So could be some more evidence that they're going to see, possibly. Saturn is old, in the second, could be old foreign food, Pisces. I think they were, well, I don't even, uh, that's upsetting to some people, so I would just skip over that part. But yes, Uranus. And then also, I'm sorry, Aquarius, Uranus. There's gonna be that could be something that comes up at the very end, because that's the end of the matter, the 4th house. So maybe there might, at the very end, we see the roof, I mean, it could be something as simple as that. But very interesting to see that. Now, the 4th house, hidden enemies. Now, why would something like this have any hidden enemies? Well, it's more like the secrets and people who have something that they know about that they're not telling anybody. And Jupiter is representing the colleges. So we've got that person in the 4th house. I think what is more important for me, is Mercury is 2 or more, and Mars is like the construction. It almost seems like, if this is the spirits, Neptune meaning spirits the um, of the victims, and there's a square here. It's almost like the tools are going to go missing. Neptune is missing. Neptune is to disappear. So suddenly, and Mercury is small too. Mars is like little nails, or could even be this could even be bugs too. And the bugs, now it's winter now, so I don't know how much of a problem that would be, but it sure looks like there's something that is causing a problem there, and we won't really hear about it because it's in the 12th house. Neptune can also be the water, and the system or something like that. Maybe they're having trouble. There could be some flooding because of that square. But yeah, Jupiter in the 4th is really, it's interesting how the chart ruler is also the ruler of the 12th, which is the hidden enemy. And this person just, uh, it just seems as if there are other motives, other motivations. And this is a person who is potentially at the college or the school. Um, let's see. Sagittarius is also the movies. So could be something about, I don't know, something about a movie that's going to be made. There's a possibility that these people, these hidden enemies, are filming because of that Sagittarius. So there may need to be some kind of rule that's like, okay, guys, if you're going to go in there and do this work, you're going to have to leave your phones behind, that kind of thing. Okay. So now we're on to clue number 5. Yeah, something might be in the pipes. It's a good point. And let's see here. Oh, I didn't think about that. Bugs like spy cams. Absolutely. There could be. It definitely is. I wonder if that's from the neighborhood, maybe that they're, they're going to get some footage of some sort. Yes, it could be mold. They have to be very careful of mold. Neptune would be mold. Thank you. And deception dismantled. I can see tools going missing. And they have to be careful that it's going to be dangerous, I think, tomorrow. They have to check and double check. And remember, during Mercury retrograde, they're going to try to give, you know, some type of an effort, and they're going to have to do it over again. So it's kind of like twice the effort. I'm an Aquarius. I knew basic things on astrology, um, but looking into it blows my mind how much I identify with it. Yes. So, hope and happiness. How are you doing? Hi, Val. I'm on replay, just starting at the beginning. Well, no worries. We'll be here for a while. And oh man, in the water pipes, if you washed something in the kitchen. Yeah. And that could be, Mercury and Mars there, those still could be the attackers, really. I mean, it could show that imprint of the crime and how there was that square to Neptune. Maybe they left something behind there. I really do think that there's going to be some extra evidence. So I would be shocked if the police weren't there. Now, if you look at, before we get into this, Mars is the police. And this could be something good because you want law enforcement to go over something again. They thought that they were, you know, that they got everything, but now Mercury retrograde, a great time to revise and look at it one more time. I mean, I know they've already been in there a couple of days ago, but now they're going to see this place in a different light. So it may actually benefit law enforcement. So that would be great. And yeah, I know. I was thinking that too. Bed bugs, asbestos. Yes. So, Jessie girl, is there really a tunnel under the house? Everybody talks about the tunnel, and I think it's a good question and something that we should take a look at. So, a tunnel would be Scorpio, and it would be the eighth house. Okay. And you would be able to see, I think the fourth would be really the home. Um, yeah, and also Pluto could be a tunnel as well. Pluto is Scorpio. So you're looking at something below. Now, Sun is here. I'm looking at Sun because it's the Lord of the eighth house of hidden things. And I don't think so. I don't think there is one. I think there's some hidden things that might be revealed, but I am not seeing anything really distinct about something hidden. Lots of Pisces, so that's going to be hidden things. Saturn would be money. I mean, there's some money in here for some reason, and that could simply be because it's a valuable property. But yeah, not seeing a tunnel. Okay. Now, what I would look for if there was a tunnel, um, and I mean, you saw this in the crime chart. You saw a lot of planets in Scorpio. I don't see that here, though. I only see one planet in Scorpio and 2 points in the eighth house. So, at least with this chart, it's not going to be something that comes up. Let's just say that. But there, you know, with all of that energy in Scorpio in that crime chart, definitely something that shows down below. So, I mean, could even be a closet on the first floor or something like that. Doesn't necessarily mean a tunnel. Now, number 5, part of fortune is how about that? It is exactly on the cusp of the 6th house, okay? And it's in the twins. It's in Gemini. And I don't know what necessarily to make of this. It's squaring Saturn and octiling the moon. And it's almost like this is the public. So they're not going to feel as if they're very successful in this, in whatever they're trying to do. Uh, yeah, it looks like if you were to look at any chart, you want to see part of fortune be in a good alignment, good aspect, because it's going to show that the project was successful. We're very pleased. Let's put out a press release. Let's show everyone that now we're ready to move on and blah, 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 blah. So we're not seeing that here. We're seeing it's at the very least, it's harder than they thought. Let's just say that. Okay. Now I think oh, and the other thing I wanted to show you too is, hold on one second. Okay. Um, yeah. So the question was, will it be blocked? And the reason I said blocked was because the 11th house of social media is Pluto, and it is squaring the chart ruler. So it's almost like social media is up in arms, and she, whoever it is, might be getting hate mail. Uh, it's it's very tough right now for the university because of this Pluto. They're like, not so fast. So that could show that that has been in play in the past, and that's why it's been so hard. But here comes the government in kind of like saving the day, forget that square. I'll help you with this. And that's why you get that T square. So, um, there might be some kind of a deal that was made where, it helps, you know, one hand helps the other. So, in every chart, when you look at a chart, you're going to see different aspects, but one that's particularly difficult is when you have a T square, which is a triangle. We don't like those triangles. And the top of that chart is the South Node. Now, the South Node can show the truth. It can show in Libra justice, truth and justice, and it's in the ninth house of court. So that's interesting. And the ruler of the court is in retrograde right now. So the court is not fully, it's not really that strong. In other words, I think there's paperwork. It's got to be paperwork. Sagittarius, which is the ninth house traditionally, Mercury is paperwork. And it's like court paperwork. It looks okay, but with this square to Neptune, that can be missing paperwork. And there's an emergency session of some sort that happens. That's a possibility. Okay. One other thing I wanted to look at. Oh, I was looking at the T square here with the South Node. The South Node is leaving behind. And the ninth house would be also the press. And they're not letting this go. It's like it's stuck here. Um, it's almost like this is the public opposing Pluto. That is, I mean, this could be a home transforming and left behind. But there's a square, and that's that ninth house. That's the court. So I wonder if somebody has filed something in the court that's going to maybe delay this. I don't know. I guess we're going to see. I also thought it was really interesting. Actually, let me get over to the comments and I'll tell you in a second. Um, yeah, Heather, um, part of Fortune squares BML2. Um, yeah, so that's a good thing though with um, BML, Black Moon Lilith in the eighth. If it squares part of fortune, that shows that that person who is doing things that they shouldn't be doing, they are not going to be successful. So, and it could also show when you have something squaring Gemini or point in Gemini, Black Moon Lilith can show two people who are not really, they don't have this project's best interest at heart. Eighth house can show real estate, and the eighth house is, let's see here, it is ruled by Leo, and that's king. So that would show king road real estate. So that would be sun there in the first house. Sun would represent the king road real estate. Let's go back for a second. So if this is king and the university has access now to king. So, uh, hmm. Yeah, and king, it is there's a quincunx, two part of fortune. And so that's kind of like the twins on king. What could that be? Could mean king is now part of the government, but it doesn't look, I mean, the sun looks pretty strong here. So I think that that Black Moon Lilith, oh, it's always happening to me. Um, sorry, guys. Okay. With Black Moon Lilith there, in the eighth house, this is obviously some kind of real estate. You know, somebody has something in mind there, but it's squaring part of fortune. And so, you know, maybe this could mean a group of properties. Okay. Let's take this, let's demolish it and let's put up, let's put up some dorms. How about that? Or let's really make this part of, the university's portfolio. And we'll make two houses that look the same or something like that. But it doesn't look like it's going to go their way. The other thing I wanted to show you too is we can look at Venus and the reason I picked Venus as the girls is that basically, they're the only famous women that are part of this story. And we've got Scorpio. So Scorpio would be in the eighth house, it would be a homicide. So and the other reason is that it's squaring Saturn, which means death. So it means women who passed. So what you would do is you can treat this as the first house. So we start counting and see what we see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth house is the Lord, or is represented by Aries. This is Mad Greek. This is their work. Okay. The fourth house is their sixth house. So interesting how there are two planets in that house and how Jupiter and Uranus are in there. So, Jupiter in Taurus, that's lots and lots of food. It is squaring Pluto. So maybe currently their old place of work is having a hard time in their transformation. But interesting how Uranus is in that house. So obviously, Mad Greek was shocked, which Uranus represents, but could also show some kind of a storyline that had to do with online things, Uranus meaning online. So obviously the photos and all of that with Uranus there. Let me take a look at a better chart here. Okay. So yeah, so okay, so let's look and see if this is their sixth house, all right? We have a square to the planet that represents King Road. Why? Because the eighth house is ruled by Leo, which is king or queen. I mean, it's king and queen, depending on who you ask on where this location is, because it really is queen, I believe. And weird how Xana's last word was queen. So we've talked about that in the past. So we've got this, their workhouse is, it's like squaring the house, their house. So I do think that's confirmation that that place of work definitely had something to do with the shock, which would be Uranus. There was a shock that came from possibly putting their work online. Mad is Mars and Aries, so Aries would rule their house of work. So it's kind of crazy how that works. So, trying to think what other houses that we could look at here. Obviously, the eighth house is real estate, ninth house is courts, 11th house, social media. Don't see anything in the 10th house, which is for all to see. So, that's pretty interesting. I almost think that, yeah, the moon here is the public, and there's a quincunx or 150 degrees to these hidden people there. It's like the public, they're making it difficult for these people, some way, shape, or form. I don't know how. And then also opposing the transformation, like I said before. So that's kind of, it's unfortunate because everybody's not on the same page. Now, I also think that these law enforcement, they are going to get some more, they're going to see more evidence that is Aries related or blood, which is just, I don't even want to think about. It's so, so awful. So, okay. Oh no, people are blocking. Critical thinking. Nice to see you. Oh, we have a troll. Okay, well, we don't have to worry about that. Now, does Greek also represent frats, sororities, Greek row? Um, yeah, let's see. Black Moon Lilith and the moon was right in Cancer. And so, well, I mean, there's a couple of things that you could see for the frat and sororities. It could be Leo in the eighth, could be the point around the moon in the seventh. And that kind of goes into that profile between Venus, Moon, and Neptune. So It's kind of like the Greek girls' spirits. And it's, the other thing that I saw here was that Neptune is at 25 degrees, and that's the Aries degree. So that to me maybe shows that there's some kind of, it can translate to angry spirits. So something Aries, or could just be mad, meaning like mad Greek. So now, grub truck will be near the demo. That's interesting. Oh God, that would be weird. And now Cami says yes on the tunnels. That's interesting. So, okay, Toy's saying yes, Angel. This will end up being a nice write-off, and it just so happens to be the very end of the year. And okay, so I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Okay, we're talking about remodels and all of that good stuff. Now, you know what we should do? We should probably draw. How about we draw a card? Should we draw one card? Um, hang on one second. Let's see. All right, and I just started doing this, so I might need your help. But let's just draw one card for tomorrow, and you guys tell me what you think. Yep, I absolutely agree, Heather. Okay. So we're talking about, I think, people who are beginner astro or astrology students. You can always write in and give us your thoughts. We are a friendly group here. You do not need to know any astrology. Just if you think you might understand something, we'd love to hear what you thought. So you think I'm going to get the Tower card, Angel? I hope not. All right. So okay. Here we go. Oh my God. Okay. I got a reverse. Oof. Okay. Um, oh, you can't really see it. I got a reverse. It's because it figures I would pick a green card and I've got a green screen, but it's a reverse King of Pentacles. You see it? No. Wow. Okay. So we're talking about, oh, I'm sorry, not King. It's Knight of Pentacles. There's a horse. There's a star. Knight of Pentacles. Maybe this is, and he's walking away with a horse, which would be Sagittarius. Interesting. So this card, I think, represents that Jupiter retrograde. He's barefoot. But it's reversed. That's the problem. It's reversed. So he's trying to walk away. This knight, this person who's trying to start anew, and it's reversed. So if that's the card that represents tomorrow, the demolition, then it looks like there might be something to delay him. So, okay. I know. Sorry about that. I'm going to figure out, I've got another camera. I'm going to start doing some more cards and do it so where you can see, see better on my table here. Internet, good to see you. I'm so glad you came in. Now, Teresa's saying, so where they may have to stop, haunt the demolition at the last minute, where the house gets saved at the last minute. I don't know. I don't know. But it looks, we've got a reverse card here. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. What I am worried about, and sometimes we just get a little bit paranoid, but I just want everyone to, whoever is playing a part, to play by the rules, not take pictures on the down low inside, not take souvenirs, and also to be very cognizant of their safety. Safety is so important with Mercury. So I cringe when I hear that somebody's going to do something like this during Mercury retrograde. So, Heather says, the truly it was perfect for the situation at hand. Are you talking about the card? Um, Sharpie girl, I believe the white Dodge Ram belongs to one of the cowboys, is in the construction company that will be demolishing the house. New info I heard today, also associated with the Axe Club. Are you serious? You got to be kidding me. Because let's go back to the chart then. All right. Mars would be axe. Mercury would be a group or a club. This is behind the scenes here. Um, let's see. And then there's hmm. All right, I'm going to try this again. So I'm going to do the blue. These people, whoever they are, North Node. North Node is deceptive. I'm not saying that club or whatever. I'm not saying they're deceptive, but North Node is kind of like an illusion. Also, Aries is a business and can also represent weapons as well. So North Node can mean a foreign weapon, but most of the time it shows that when there's a trine, if you want to put some smoke and mirrors into something, you can. You have the permission to do that. Uh, and maybe to hide a little bit. I wonder how they're going to do that because they're going to try to, I guess they're going to probably block the road so nobody can get in. But I think that's going to be a major issue, obviously. I mean, that's just common sense, not astrology. So, what do you guys think of the Knight of Pentacles? That's what I want to know. Um, yes, Star Sleuth, thank you. Reverse cards are like retrogrades, delays, and Angel D, trust the process and remain grounded in the moment. Yeah, except reversed. So, interesting. I hope nobody drops anything. Now, okay, Tommy says if they destroy the house, they have to let the suspect go. Can never be a fair trial if the jury can't have a look at the crime scene. There's so many high profile crimes where, you'd see photos, old photos of juries traipsing through crime scenes. I mean, it's a big press event when that happens and has helped the prosecution. So now, don't go saying anything about Nancy Grace, but she certainly gets her opinion out there, and I want to know what she has to say tomorrow. I really do. But uh, yes, and can we just talk about something Nancy Grace did? She, there was a big controversy when she went up there, and I talked about this before when she broadcast with the King Road house behind her, but she was doing that during Mercury retrograde. And it just failed miserably for her. So sometimes we make these decisions and we say these things during Mercury retrograde that we never would think of doing when Mercury is going forward. The mind is just a little bit off. So I do not blame her, but she got in a lot of trouble online for that. Okay. So interesting about that card, Knight of Pentacles. And then we have interesting how Taurus there is in their sixth house. This is the girls here. And, obviously that's food. So food online, here we go. That could also be the DoorDash people too, because remember, we can talk about a home, fourth house. And that is so weird. Food online, and then it squares the ruler of King Road, which is the ruler of the eighth house. Eighth house really is one of the important houses here because of eighth meaning real estate. So that I hope that South Node, which means to leave behind, Libra justice, leaving behind justice. I hope that's not the case. I hope that there is some justice. But if we can look a little bit more as to the girls in the house. This could be Venus in Scorpio could also mean, I don't think it means the girls on the first floor though, because of the square to Saturn. It could mean that they're not talking. 1, 2, 3, 4. Um, so the second house is the fourth house from the victims or the girls in that house. So there would be a square there. I mean, obviously, you can see they died. Saturn in the house. And Pisces too. It's a big mystery. It is remember there's footprints are there too. I wonder if there could be an old footprint that might be found. I mean, at this point, probably not. But they're definitely going to have to keep their eyes open. Now, at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be pretty dark. So I'm not sure what they're planning on doing in the dark, but they better be careful. I'll say that. All right. So don't forget to like or hit the thumbs up if you like this show. And let's see, critical thinking saying, although I do agree a virtual crime scene through is not the same as actually going there. They will see everything as the scene was when it was scanned. So that's something to think about and something to make us feel a little bit better. Yeah, toy, no more footprints to be found. But will we hear about footprints? Sometimes it's like, nope, it's not there. But will something be said? I don't know if it's old footprints. Maybe it isn't, but it's the Saturn in the second there. It's something kind of it's old, an old asset that appears. Pisces is appear, disappear. So that's a possibility. But I do think that there's going to be something that throws a little bit of a challenge for people coming in tomorrow. So I'm not sure. And I would not be surprised if there was kind of like an emergency hearing or something like that. This is supposed to take a few days. So they might just, hammer swing on the east side of the property and then stop. I think that would be pretty pathetic. You don't want a half demolished house in the middle of the neighborhood. So Heather saying Mercury quincunx Uranus, driver DNA. Oh, that's a good one. Let me see here. So we've got Mercury and the quincunx to Uranus. Yeah, Uranus is definitely evidence. Or it's something, remember, Uranus is also to change. They're trying to change the house. But you've got this group here who is kind of driving it, and they're not able to change it the way they want it, or it's just a lot of hardship. That's what that quincunx mean. But as far as the driver DNA, uh, it's a possibility, but it's not going to be easy to find. You would need a trine for that. So anyway, well, I hope this, opened your eyes to what we might be seeing in as far as the demolition project tomorrow. I'm going to be probably online if we have any updates tomorrow, and then I'll be on again tomorrow night. Actually, I think I have 2 shows tomorrow. I'll have to take a look at the schedule. So, Jessie Girl, as far as my book, it's not available on hard copy yet, but keep asking. Micro Blue, good. Val, people need to see what's happening here. Hidden World equals Pisces. Yes. So interesting that 7 a.m. chart is ruled by the university, but a very weak university since Jupiter's in retrograde. So, yeah, Angel D thinks it's going to be delayed. Well, that would be typical. And remember, no Mercury retrograde is the same. You have to look at Mercury retrograde in different ways. You've got to look and see what aspects it. Often, like if you get a snowstorm or something where you see 1,000 trucks on the road, well, you're going to see Mercury retrograde, conjunct Pluto, conjunct Saturn, Saturn meaning snow. So there's got to be that mix of planets to really give you a clear picture of how intense Mercury retrograde is going to be. With it almost makes me think that there's going to be some weather tomorrow because of Mercury retrograde squaring Neptune. That could be rain or precipitation where they're like, oh, well, we tried, but, it's just too messy out. There's lots of sleet. So that's a possibility. We'll have to check. So, all right, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening.